Welcome back everyone to Angela's Craft Room. Today I've got a new stamp set for you called Heartland. It's a lovely country themed stamp set, and when you stamp it you hardly really need to colour it at all if you didn't want to. But today what I'm going to do is show you a card that I've made with it, and I've used the barn. I've used the big image of the barn. And what I've done is use the Stampin' Up sponge brayer to create my background, which I'm going to show you how I did that. And I've used some of the lovely new copper trim that Stampin' Up brought out on the 1st of June 2017, and I've just gone through to inside my card and stamped the tractor from the same stamp set. Now inside I have done 2 layers of mats because the front was early espresso, but it would have been too dark for anyone to write on, so I just did another mat of crumb cake and stamped the tractor on it. So I'd just like to show you how I created this one for you. So to start with, I'm going to be using a piece of early espresso, which is 11 inches long by 4 1/4 inches wide, and then scored at 5 1/2. And I'll just grab my bone folder and burnish that quite well. Like that. Then we're going to have 2 pieces that are going to go on the front of here. One is crumb cake and one is shimmery white cardstock. I find the shimmery white cardstock really gives you a really nice smooth finish when you're sponging. So the piece of crumb cake is 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and then put that aside. And then the piece of shimmery white, which we're going to sponge on first, is 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches. So I've just gone down by 1/4 inch. So I'm going to be using the Stampin' Up sponge brayer, and I haven't cleaned it since I just finished the card that I just showed you, and I've still got ink on it, but that is fine. So we're not going to be changing it between colours. So to start with, I'm going to use Soft Sky. And for those of you that haven't seen me use the brayer before, you just softly just roll it in one direction. Don't go back and forward on your ink pad, just go in one direction. And then when you start putting it onto your piece of cardstock, you just don't go backwards or forwards, just go from one side to the other and bring it back. And the same, you just keep adding colour until you've got as much on there as you want. And you'll think that there's nothing on your brayer, but there certainly is. So we're just going to add the blue to about halfway down, and then we're going to add a little bit of, oh, it's a bit of fluff. And then we're going to add a little bit of Blushing Bride. Why I add a little bit of pink is it's just nice. We'll just add a little bit now, because we can go back over with the Soft Sky, and you notice I don't wash out my brayer, but it's just nice to have a pink tinge coming through. And once you've stamped that barn onto the card, it's going to cover a lot of your card. So it's just a really easy way to do your sponging. I used to use these Stampin' Up sponges, and it used to take me forever, but doing this way, we'll just bring the pink down. We're going to bring in some Pear Pizzazz, but we'll just bring the pink down. Then I'm going back into my soft sky, and that's just how it's done. Like, it's just a matter of just keep adding until you're happy with it. I just noticed up in that corner I didn't have much of blue. So now I'm going to go over the pink with the soft sky. So just going to add, just so that pink is, we only want the pink to be showing through. We don't want it to be vibrant hot pink in the middle of our card. So I know it doesn't look much at the moment, but once you have finished stamping your barn on, you will see it's just a really nice effect. So I'll just pop these away so I can bring in the Pear Pizzazz. And I'm just going to do it from the bottom. And I'm just going to add some green. Just bringing it up a little bit. Mainly on, right on the bottom you want your green. And every one you do will turn out differently. But you could make quite a few of these, it's quite easy. So that's enough green. Just go back into the blue, just for a little bit, just a bit more across there, and even down a bit. About 3/4 of the way down I like to bring my blue. But we're going to be stamping the barn with early espresso, so it's a really deep chocolate colour. And I'm just going to turn it and just come from this side as well. I think I'll stop there. So we've our sponge background, so you can see how quick and easy that is. So now I'm just going to bring the my Misty over. And I've already positioned my stamps on this side here. Now I just want the green at the bottom. And that's going to be right. So I got the Misty corners, which were really good because with the single magnets I found they were hitting each other all the time and they were chipping and breaking in half. And with the Misty corners, I know you can do so many fantastic things with them, with all different shapes, but I really like them because the magnets are actually inset in the Misty corner, and I find I'm not smashing the magnets because they are a very strong magnet. And I'll just put this single one down there. So then I'm going to just bring in early espresso, and you're not missing anything. If you can't quite see what I'm doing off camera, all I'm going to do, I'll just move this over, all I'm going to do is stamp up. Now I can stamp up the sentiment and the barn at the same time. Now, because this is a really new stamp set, I find that I'll most probably have to stamp up the barn 3 or 4 times. So then I'm just going to bring that down and press. Bring that back up so that's not too bad, but I will still need a bit more colour on the barn. I've only stamped this image a couple of times, so when you get your new stamp sets, you will find that you'll need to stamp them. If you've got a MISTI tool or something similar, it just makes life so much easier. So you can see how I've got the sentiment here and the image here all stamping at the same time. So that's pretty good, but we'll just stamp the barn one more time. I'm pretty happy with the sentiment. But this is just such an easy card to make. You could make quite a few of these, so quite happy with that. So I'm just going to slide that off. So so you can see what a beautiful stamp that is and the definition in it. Like, you really don't need to add colour to that, especially when you've done a background. So I'll just get a little bit of this excess ink off my stamp, because we don't want that to be transferring to the card if I do use it again. So just be wary of that. So I'm just going to pop that over to the side, my MISTI, and then I'm going to bring in my piece of crumb cake, and that's pretty much dry now. Now I have used shimmery white, remember, so if you wanted to use whisper white, you could actually highlight the barn with a bit of Winker Stella Clear if you wanted to, but I'm just going to use my multi-purpose liquid glue, and I'm just going to adhere that to my piece of crumb cake. I do like the multi-purpose glue because if I don't put it down exactly straight, it does give me that time to move it. So I'm just going to grab a cotton bud, only because it's near the edge. I don't want big blobs coming out on the sides if we can help it. So I'm just going to pop that down on our piece of crumb cake. So it's pretty straight. So if you're happy with it, I just like to slide, because it can still move at this stage. So just go down all four sides. Give it a bit of a rub on the back so that it has adhered. So then what you can do is add a bit of ribbon. Like in the original one, I added the copper trim, and I have another new ribbon here, and it's in crumb cake. So I'm going to add that to that side, but to do that I'm going to turn that over. And those of you that watch me regularly know that I always put the tear and tape on the back when I'm adhering ribbon or lace, because I find myself personally that if you put it under the ribbon or lace on the front of your card, it can leave a bit of a lump underneath and it doesn't look very nice. So I'm just going to, it's just going to wrap on the front of the card like so. So I just, to start it off, I'm just going to pop it onto the tear and tape at the back. Now don't mistakenly put it down, because you've got tear and tape on the back and it will stick very fast to your surface. So before you go push that all the way down, just make sure you're happy that it's straight, which I am. So I'm just going to just trim that off. Now on the back here, what we're going to have to do is grab the tear and tape and pop a piece onto the ribbon, because the glue just will not adhere it very well. So because it's such a wide ribbon on the back, you will need to put a piece of tear and tape, whereas I could add the multi-purpose glue on my first card because the copper trim was only 1/8 of an inch wide, whereas this is 1/4 of an inch. Then I'm going to bring in my piece of early espresso, which is the base card, and we're just going to adhere that to there. So I'm just going to go this side of the ribbon because I've got tear and tape on the ribbon. Now because I've got tear and tape on that, when I put it down, I'm going to have to be pretty precise and hopefully not be crooked, because the tear and tape will adhere very closely. If you wanted to, you could just try and put a little bit of glue just down that edge. It's a bit difficult because the tear and tape is quite close, so I would just try and put the top piece down first just to make sure that it is straight and not pressing too hard on the side where I know the tear and tape is under that ribbon. So I'm quite happy that that's straight, so I'm just going to go along there. So you can see it's quite an easy card to do with a couple of techniques with the sponging, and it's very quick and easy. So that's that one there. So inside I've got another piece of crumb cake, but what I'd like to do is we'll just bring the Misty back over, and I'm just going to quickly stamp in the bottom right hand corner of the, so we'll take these stamps off for cleaning after, and I think I'll just put the tractor, stamp the tractor inside. So you just have to make sure it's straight, so we'll just press down and have a look, because I know I've had a few comments, isn't that what the grid lines are for? But with some stamps, when they're at the manufacturing stage, they're not precisely straight. So it is good sometimes to just use a piece of normal copy paper, photocopy paper, and just do a bit of a test if you're unsure that that's going to be straight. So I'm just going to stamp that up with early espresso, So you don't want a real strong image on the inside because it takes it away from the outside of your card. So it just needs a little bit more. As I say, this is a very new stamp set and I've only used it a couple of times. So until you've used your new stamp sets a few times, you will need to ink them up, and that's where Misty tool comes in very handy. So then we're just going to grab that and we're just going to pop that into there and we're going to be finished. So that stamp set once again is called Heartland. It's one of the new ones that was released in the new annual catalogue on the 1st of June 2017. And I think it's going to be a very popular stamp set. I have made some note cards with the other images. So just making sure I'm not putting it in upside down, and just pop it in as straight as I can. There we go. So there's still plenty of room to write on the card. So that's our card for today, using the Heartland stamp set, and then just I've stamped the tractor on the inside. So this was the first one I did. And there is a little bit of a difference, as I say. Not everyone, when you're doing the sponging, not everyone will be the same. You'll have more green on one than the other, or more blue, so it doesn't matter. I find that already these stamps sets are becoming very popular with my customers that buy the cards off me. So I hope you'll try that one, Heartland. And until next time, thank you for spending some of your day with me today. Until next time, happy crafting.